Welcome to the Primetime News Bulletin here on Joy News on Multi TV. Coming up, Nima residents protest delaying construction of major drain and vow to block Kanda Highway in 2 weeks if no action is taken. Minority calls on organized labor to kick against increase in VAT to 15%. Bagban chiefs worried about corruption urge President Mahama to deal ruthlessly with persons found culpable. President Mahama has meanwhile assured Ghanaians the real impact of his administration will be felt more in its last term. An energy think tank asks government to suspend consideration of all new petroleum agreements until passage of new law. We also have sports, business, showbiz and international news all coming up. In our very first story, residents of Nima and Mamobi have given government a 2-week ultimatum to resume construction of the Nima storm drain or be faced with another public protest they say will block the main Kanda Highway. They issued the ultimatum after a demonstration today over a delay in the project. The construction, according to the residents, has stalled for 2 years now.
It all started off with a mini protest about 3 weeks ago to draw attention to the abandoned storm drain. The residents at the time vowed to take to the streets, and so they did on Monday in fulfillment of their vow. Clad in red with stripes on their arms, shoulders and forehead, the residents converged near the project site amidst singing and chanting.
Our wish is that we want them to construct our gutter. But I see, here we don't call it gutter, we don't call it gutter, we call it gutter. We call it gutter. We want them to do our gutter for us. Madam, I can promise if you come to me, I'll give you a place to sleep. But you don't sleep early. You sleep around 12 and you'll be outside till 11. Madam, it's what to happen to you. Mosquitoes, madam. And the stench from the gutter, madam, you can't breathe. We are suffering. So, madam, tell our leaders that we are begging. They should come to our plight. We are begging them. The economy, we are the people of Ghana. We need better service. But now we are suffering. We are suffering.
Government to do something. They burned some car ties in the process, disrupting traffic flow on the Kanda Highway until a team of officers from the Accra Regional Police Command intervened. Though they described the demonstration as illegal, the police explained they had received orders to simply disperse the crowd.
Well, it's an illegal demonstration that we've just tried to restrain ourselves. And the law will take its course at the appropriate time.
Joy News learned security was stepped up around the Flagstaff House, the seat of the presidency, which is not too far from the Kanda Highway, as demonstrators decided to march to the place. The residents meanwhile say they will not relent until they see some progress on the stalled drain.
We are still giving a warning. I'm repeating this thing. We are giving a warning. This is the first demonstration. This is the first phase. We need the government to come and do the drainage to us.
Also, fishermen, canoe owners and fishmongers at Elmina in the central region are demanding a resumption of work on the fish processing plant being built in the area. The chiefs of the area, preferring to have the project moved elsewhere, demanded that it be suspended. But the fishermen and their colleagues, however, disagree and say work must resume in 2 days. Richard Kojunyako filed this report from Elmina.
The The disagreement over the siting of the plant came up shortly after President Mahama called for work to begin. The Elmina Traditional Council, supported by the MP for KEEA Nanatu Arthur, advanced numerous reasons why Elmina was not ideal for the project. Government, however, called for a suspension of the project after repeated warnings by the chiefs resulted in a confrontation with the workers at the project site. But the fishermen, canoe owners and the fishmongers, clad in red armbands at a news conference at Elmina, have warned against the relocation of the project. Richard Kudunyaku's report.
Organised Labour has been asked to kick against the 2.5% increase in VAT approved by Parliament last week. The minority, which made the call at a news conference Monday, faulted the procedure for approving the tax increase. The MPs who walked out of the chamber over the incident last Friday, however, say they won't boycott Tuesday's presentation of the 2014 budget.
Minority Leader Osei Chairman Sabonsu described government's decision to increase the VAT rate by 2.5% as a betrayal of trust, adding that it will reduce the purchasing power of Ghanaians and so must be immediately reversed.
Agricultural production and local industry will be negatively affected. Unemployment would go further up. The economy will stagger, and the projection of government to generate an additional 745 million is not likely to happen. And that is why the minority caucus is opposed to foisting the 2.5% VAT rate increase, which in itself translates to a 20% increase in the existing rates. In this manner, and on the already overburdened taxpayers of the country.
Member of Parliament for Sekendi, Papa Owusu Ankuma, charged organised labour to resist it vehemently, insisting it is unfair to the ordinary Ghanaian.
I'm saying that Ghanaians should rise up and resist it. I am calling on organised labour. You elected parliamentarians into Parliament to debate matters where the majority, through subterfuge and surreptitiousness, decide to undermine the parliamentary process by going by some sort of procedure aided by a speaker.
The minority is also demanding that government explain why the tax increase is necessary.
We are not saying that we are opposed to government mobilizing revenue to do whatever. We are talking about the procedure, and the imposition of tax requires the engagement of the populace, the people that you represent, the people that you govern.
Parliament of Friday approved a new 2.5% VAT levy despite a minority walkout accusing government of sabotage. The new levy now brings the VAT rate to 15%, up from 12% this year.
A delegation of traditional rulers from the Dagman traditional area has expressed concern about what it says are the widespread reports of corruption attributed to President John Mahama's government and expressed support for the measures he recently announced to deal with the problem. The chiefs who were at the Flagstaff House to congratulate the president on his election also asked that the Dagman peace process be fast-tracked.
Their admonition, contained in a statement read by the registrar of the Dagbon Traditional Council, asked the president to deal ruthlessly with all those found to have engaged in corrupt acts because of its impact on development.
As our own son, we were brought up in a culture in which righteousness, discipline, honesty, and integrity are its watchwords. Therefore, the attribution of these social cankers to your administration, whether perceived or real, is of great concern to us. We urge you, therefore, to deal with corruption ruthlessly, irrespective of who is involved, to showcase to the world your resolve and uprightness in dealing with the social canker.
Kampakuya Na and Dani Yakubu Abdullahi also pledged to work with the chiefs in the area to ensure lasting peace, even as government fast-tracks the peace process.
We implore Your Excellency to increase your attention to key social and economic issues such as the reduction of poverty and the improvement of health and educational facilities in the rural areas. To succeed in addressing the economic problems of our motherland, the problems of agriculture, critical segment of the Ghanaian economy, and provider of many jobs for rural communities also need better attention.
President Mahama, on his part, pledged to stamp out corruption.
The fight against corruption. Only a few days ago, I've announced some new measures to bolster our fight against corruption. And I wish to assure you that, as you said, the kind of upbringing that we're giving, justifies that we uphold righteousness, and righteousness abhors corruption. And so, working together with other members of government and indeed with the whole nation, we would be able to minimize corruption in this country.
On the Dagbon crisis, President Mahama called for the support of the traditional rulers.
We all know that chieftaincy is a part of our governance system, and it is recognized under the Constitution, and the chiefs have a role to play both in the governance and development of our nation. And therefore, even though the Constitution prevents government from interfering in chieftaincy, by virtue of the fact that we all share the same objective of improving and developing the lives of our people, the two must collaborate to be able to achieve the objective. And that's why government tries its best to encourage the resolution of disputes with regards to chieftaincy.
Now, President Mahama has been on a two-day working tour of the Volta region over the weekend, which took him to several towns where he got to interact with the chiefs and people whilst inspecting some projects and cutting sword for work to begin on others. Gifty Ando-Apia was on the trip and filed the following report.
First stop for the president was at Sokode in Ho, where he inspected ongoing work at the Ho campus of the University of Health and Allied Sciences.
So there were many doomsayers who said it was all a gimmick. And I'm happy that today, Professor Tamils is vindicated. I have given instructions to the Minister of Finance to pay all the counterpart funding for this project. And so the money should be released for the projects to be on track. It is my hope that in another 16 months we will come back to this site, and this beautiful design that you see up there on the poster would be translated into reality on this site.
At the Volta Regional House of Chiefs, its president, Togbe Apwede the 14th, urged President Mahama to ensure the region enjoys its share of development, highlighting projects such as the Eastern Corridor roads he says appear to have come to a standstill and need revamping.
We know it's not easy to lead a country where we have conflicting desires. We want development, at the same time we want to pay less taxes. The commitment to the Eastern Corridor project, on behalf of the chiefs and people, we want to urge stronger effort in this regard to ensure that these very important projects are completed to serve the need.
The president, on his part, explained government is doing exactly that and gave an update on crude oil exploration activity in the Keta Basin.
As I speak, we have secured the funding and the contractors are mobilizing to site for the northern segment of the Eastern Corridor Road, that is from Otidawanko all the way to Nakanduri in the Mamprusi area. GMPC is in discussion with some companies that want to begin drilling in the Keta Basin area. There are 2 reputable companies that have come forward, and they are applying to GMPC to do drilling. There might be something very precious inside there.
At the whole central market, the president had cause to question the slow pace of work on its rehabilitation.
Today when I was coming here, I was expecting to see a rehabilitated, beautiful market. I was disappointed because I've just been told since the time I launched the project, it has not taken off yet. I want to assure you, I'm going back to Accra. Whoever is delaying this project will pay the price for it. This is what is wrong with this country. Can you imagine, since May 2012, I launched the project. And it's not that the money is not there. The money is sitting in the account and breathing. And just because of bureaucracy, up to now the project has not taken off.
In response to pleas from the market women for the reappointment of the NCE nominee, Fafa Adinura, or another female nominee, the president assured them he was going to act in a matter of hours. The final stop was the northern part of the Volta region, Nkwanta.
Whose percentage? 1%, 50%, 100% in his eyes. That is why he's here.
Anxious and young faces await the arrival of the president, John Dramani Mahama, here at the St. Paul's Senior High School in Joje. He's expected to wrap up his 2-day tour of the region. The tour, though, has not just been about inspection of projects, but about constant reassurance by the president to the people that his government is working for them and in their interest. It is worthy of note, though, that his emphasis on the 2016 election outcome does leave room for further political debate. Day 2 of the trip took him to Aflao, where he cut salt at the Metro Mass Transit Terminal after addressing Yedeba. The 900,000 Ghana City Terminal, a public-private partnership between Government of Ghana and Diamond Cement, a local firm, is to boost the transportation network to towns in the area, as well as serve as a hub to Togo and Benin. At the Keta Sea Defense Project site, the president said he was impressed with the transformation of the shoreline. Addressing Yedeba in his honor later at Anloga, President Mahama said he identified with some of the hardships Ghanaians are enduring, but assured work is being done to improve their lot. The 2-day tour by President John Dramani Mahama of the Volta region has ended here at the Anlo traditional area, where the Awomefia has been asking for a number of things for his people, including potable water and an extension of the electrification project. The president, on the other hand, has been telling them that he intends to deliver on all his promises made in 2012 before elections in 2016. Once again, an emphasis on the outcome of the 2016 elections. Gifty Andopia, Joy News, and no traditional area.
And we have a bit more on the president's 2-day tour of the Volta region coming up. Stay tuned. President John Mahama has again acknowledged the challenges Ghanaians are having to endure in recent times, but says relief will come before his first term ends in 2016. He told Deborah at Anglo during his Volta region tour he is confident his mandate would be renewed once the electorate see his administration's achievements in the first term.
I've done this much earlier, come to say thank you, but as you are aware, this year has not been a normal year. It's been one of the most difficult years in the life of any government. I call it a baptism of fire. As you're all aware, this year we've been having some challenges with the economy. And I'll be the first to admit that it's made things tight for our citizens. And it worries me. But it says nothing good comes easy. And it says you must suffer to gain. The economy has been running a high deficit with a high inflation rate because of certain factors. Those factors are: 1, a high wage bill as a result of implementation of the single spine, and then 2, subsidies that were paid for petroleum products to the BDCs as a result of non-adjustment of the petroleum prices. And then 3, subsidies paid to the utility companies as a result of non-adjustment of utility tariffs for many years. These factors destabilized the macroeconomic environment, and it meant that this year we had to put in measures to try to bring the economy back on track. And so for the whole of this year, we have been adjusting the economy and bringing it back on track. We've been carrying out reforms that will ensure that this economy is more robust and that we will not find ourselves in the situation that we found ourselves in this year. And so we're implementing many reform programs to make sure there's more discipline in expenditure, to make sure that we're able to block all the loopholes that erode our tax revenues, and to make sure that the economy is diversified so that we don't have to rely on only a few range of products to continue to grow the economy. The promises that we made to the people of Ghana will be fulfilled by the time we go to elections in 2016. I want to assure you that we didn't make those promises as false promises without an intention of achieving them. We intend to redeem our promises. And I'm certain that by 2016, the people of Ghana would be able to look back and say, yes, this was a government that honored its promises.
Government has announced the establishment of an authority to oversee all development initiatives in the Keta Basin. Speaking at Aglon during his vote to region working tour, President John Mahama said, although the Keta Basin Development Authority was provided for in the 2010 budget, groundwork such as legislation to back the authority is yet to begin. It was in response to a request made by the Womefia of the Aglon traditional area for a comprehensive development scheme.
Budget statement and economic policy of the government of Ghana for the financial years of 2010 and 2011 contained proposals under the Ministry of Water Resources, Works and Housing for the establishment of a Keta Basin Development Authority to ensure an effective coordination and implementation of socio-economic and infrastructural development program in the 5 administrative districts of the Southern Volta that constitute the resources of the Keta Lagoon. We, however, noted with regret that 2012 and 2013 budget statements were silent on these vital issues. We therefore kindly call on the government to urgently reinstate these important items in the budget and to establish the Keta Basin Development Authority by law with specific commitment of funding to oversee the present and future development of the Keta Lagoon Basin.
Our Womefia was reading out the kinds of things that can be done by the Keta Basin Development Authority. That is an example of what we can do as a nation. And government is going to strongly support that effort. As our Womefia rightly said, the Keta Basin Development Authority was contained in the budget of 2010. We realized that some work needs to be done before the establishment of the basin. And so that work is going to start this year. We're going to start with the legislation to set it up. And then we will budget for it so that the development programs that are envisioned under the Development Authority will be realized here. Already the people are making an effort. When I was driving this morning from Aflao right down here, I saw all the small little vegetable farms with boreholes being used to irrigate them. That is an effort that people are making. Government must stand behind them and give them the wherewithal to be able to expand that little effort that they are making. And so I want to promise you that we will do the necessary work. I've consulted with your Member of Parliament. We're going to work to do the legislative tools that are necessary, sent to Parliament to legally establish the Keta Basin Development Authority, and then to fund it so that it can create the investments that are necessary to boost this area.
Well, the president dropped hints about a new Ghana Infrastructure Fund, details of which he says will be contained in the 2014 budget to be presented by the finance minister tomorrow. In other news, energy think tank Africa Center for Energy Policy is asking government to suspend the signing of all new contracts and agreements in the oil and gas sector until the Petroleum Exploration and Production Law comes into effect. The think tank, in a new publication on the sector, says the suspension is especially crucial, as without the new law, the contracts will simply exploit the loopholes identified in the old law to the disadvantage of the country.
The paper suggests, though the Petroleum Management Act of 2011 has enhanced transparency in certain areas, such as publishing of oil revenue and expenditure over the past 2 years, the inability of monitoring institutions to review and audit contracts awarded is causing great loss to the country.
In the case of PIAC, the law only talks about allowances to the members of PIAC. But nothing was mentioned in the law about how to fund PIAC's own operations. Even though the law has given PIAC some responsibilities, including holding 2 public hearings a year, having a website, having a secretariat. And so when you have given responsibilities to a committee and you don't provide funding for that committee to undertake that responsibility, then that is a serious anomaly. And so whether the MPs deliberately, took out the funding mechanism to make it weak because they were against the setting up of that committee in the first place, is an issue that is open to questions.
According to energy experts, allowing oil companies to perform self-assessment without government cross-checking is not good enough. The centre also wants the new oil bill to make disclosure of oil company owners a prerequisite for the award of contracts.
There is a company that is operating in Ghana and you don't know who the owners of the company are, because that company is registered in a country which has a law that the owners of that company must not be disclosed. And so people award contracts to themselves. And this is what happens in most resource-rich countries, where politicians have companies and they award contracts to their companies, because you cannot tell that those politicians are behind those companies. If you are asking companies to do self-assessment, it is upon the premise that they will provide correct information. But in the oil and gas industry, it is not true that they provide correct information all the time. Most of the time, they even massage their figures. And therefore, nothing prevents Ghana, if we don't have that capacity, to go and hire some of these, specialized audit companies, PricewaterhouseCoopers, KPMG, mention them, so that they can also audit the self-assessment done by the oil companies in order to establish the true value of their tax liability.
According to ASEP, since the oil sector has now overtaken cocoa as the highest foreign exchange earner, the level of corruption in the sector is also likely to grow proportionately unless critical steps are taken to tackle it.
Now, 1,538 people have already been killed in road crashes between January and September this year. That's about 60 shy of the number of fatalities usually recorded each year. Many of the motor accidents that claimed these lives, according to the National Road Safety Commission, were the result of speeding. Matilda Nyakwa Dennis reports.
Of the number of deaths, 42% involved pedestrians, while 23% were children below 16 years. Over 60% were attributed to overspeeding. The National Road Safety Commission describes the figures as alarming and says despite efforts to minimize fatalities, there's been little improvement.
We have had 1,538 people die through road traffic accidents. And the number of cases reported we have 10,558. So that is the situation now. That is what we have now. Last year we had 1,713 people dying at this point by September, but this year we have 1,538. Although we didn't achieve our target because we targeted at reducing the accidents by 23%. We have exceeded that by a little over 200.
Fatigue, bad car tires, pedestrian carelessness and bad roads were also cited as some of the other causes of the fatalities. The month of April and December, due to the Easter and Christmas festivities, registered the highest number of crashes, a cause for concern as the Yuletide approaches. Coordinator for Special Projects, Road Safety Commission appealed to the public to be extremely conscious about their safety during the period.
Ghana is predominantly Christian. So most of the time when it's getting to these activities, you find a lot of people traveling because one, let's say Easter, a lot of churches going for conventions, and then Christmas, a lot of people go to town to buy stuff. And because of that, a lot of traders also bring in a lot of stuff. She brings them in, it gets finished, she has to go back and bring more. We should take our time, we should do everything according to our time. If you know you need to get to a place early, please move earlier. Don't move late and say, I have to go and come.
5 regions, Ashanti, Eastern, Greater Accra, Western and Central regions accounted for 80% of road accidents in the country.
Time now for some business reports. I'm Abigail Adomako Enchi. Now, financial analyst and head of Gold Coast Management Fund, Samuel Kofi Ampa, says the increase in VAT will raise the cost of living while dipping business and consumer confidence. He expressed disappointment at government for not engaging stakeholders and failing to follow the requisite parliamentary procedures in arriving at such a crucial economic decision. Last Friday approved a 2.5% increase from the current 12.5% despite protests by the minority. The move, government says, is to raise more revenue for development projects. But Samuel Lampa says due process should have been followed.
I see no reason why government did not engage stakeholders when such a good economic policy is going to be adjusted or amended. I think that government have taken the shortest dangerous road to implement the 2.5% increase in the VAT, because not too long ago they were in some consultation with TUC and then came out to talk about the subsidy or lifting some part of it in terms of the utility, increase in the utility rates. Government could have used the same platform to inform them that we are going to increase VAT, and I also believe that the procedure in Parliament should also have been followed.
He explained the increase will have implications on cost of living.
Taxes have been increased in the 2013 budget. Utility prices have gone up. High depreciation of the city. Government has not met any of its macroeconomic indicators, and then government comes in to throw at us this 2.5%. And looking at now, it is quite a difficult time. The standard of living has been affected. The cost of living is going to be very high, and consumer confidence will be dipping. We talk about business confidence. A lot more businesses will have to pay more. If you're importing goods and services, you have to pay more, 2.5% extra. And that throws everybody's projection out.
For Samuel Lampa, though it is critical for government to raise more revenue to bridge the fiscal and infrastructural deficits, government should have rather sealed the leakages in the system. Now, away from that, the 25% government subsidy on electricity tariffs will take effect from today. Explaining the new tariff regime to the media, energy economist with the ECG, Ebenezer Bading, said customers who henceforth purchased 20 cedis worth of credit will receive a little of over 25 Ghana cedis for purchase made. This, he indicated, will translate into 95 units instead of 70 as it previously used to be.
Effective today, we are refunding all units or all credits which pertains to the 25% subsidy the government of Ghana has given to customers. Now you will see the subsidy for the month of October. So all what you purchase in the month of October, ECG will calculate the subsidy. If you go there today at the vending station, you will receive the subsidy for the month of October.
Ebenezer Baden also explained that ECG customers who meanwhile have made purchases in the months of October and November before the implementation of the tariff regime will be credited.
If, for example, you are buying 50 units, in fact, in our example, we use 70 units. If you are buying 70 units, you should have paid 25 Ghana cedis. But because of the subsidy of 5.32 Ghana cedis, you will pay 19.68 Ghana cedis.
Postpaid customers will have their systems adjusted to reflect the new tariff regime.
For the money-based meter, you continue your normal purchases. Once the month is over, at your first purchase on the next month, so you are talking about, let's assume that November you are consuming credits, you are buying credits. 1st December, when you go to buy credits again, you will receive in full your subsidy for the month of November. That's how the system will work. So at the beginning of every month, you will receive a refund of your subsidy for the previous month.
Government reduced electricity tariff from 78.9 to 59.18% after bowing to pressure from organized labor to reduce utility tariffs. The 25% subsidy means government will have to cough up an estimated 400 million Ghana cedis to ECG to pay for the shortfall in its revenue as a result of the subsidy.
Well, that'll be all by way of business reports. George Adu Jr. is next with sports.
There can be none other than the Black Stars. We are all ready for it, and you can see I'm so geared for that all-important game. We're less than 24 hours to the 2014 final World Cup playoff between Ghana and Egypt, scheduled to take place at the Air Defence Stadium in Cairo. And more goodwill messages are flying in for the Stars as they seek a third straight World Cup appearance. Ex-Black Stars captain Charles Connor says the Stars are stronger and must claim a victory.
Bottom line is we have to qualify for the World Cup, and so whatever it takes us to do that, we will. I am aware, or I'm sure, definitely Egypt are going to come after us. They will come, they will open up, and when they do that, we will also have the opportunity to outplay them and get the necessary chances to score. We have the men to do that, as Marjan, up front, Waris, as we mentioned of his name. And the rest. And so I am very, very confident that we'll get a good result there.
Right, Augustine Ahemfo, who starred alongside Charles Akuna during his playing days in the Black Stars, says the Stars must keep the focus and refrain from defending or trying to defend in that game.
In wanting to attack, you need to pack the back too. So if you are playing at home, you want to open up, then you have holes behind. And so we'll take advantage of it. They have a very huge task ahead of them. It is not that easy. Though we won 6-1, it's football, anything can happen. I don't foresee the Egyptians beating us by even 2 goals. We are definitely going to score in Egypt. What we can't do is to be complacent. We can't afford that. And so we should approach the game with caution. The first 15 minutes is going to determine what will happen at the end of the day. And so if you are able to hold them for like 20 minutes in the first half, they will be confused and they will start doing the things that the coach didn't expect them to do. And then we'll take advantage of them. Because the pressure now is for them to score. If they should have a first 2 minutes to go, then they will have to open up and then we'll be under pressure. But if we are able to hold them for like 20-25 minutes, then they are forced to do individual things that is not supposed to be a team thing. And so in doing that, we can also take advantage.
All right, so let's move away from the Black Stars camp and now talk about the Joy Sports Invitational. We're getting ready for season 7 of it, and it's scheduled for Saturday at the El-Wak Stadium. And tonight we turn our attention to Guinness Ghana, and they are expected to line up as much as 3 coaches on the day.
Why do you have 3 coaches?
Because we are made of more. We have the main coach. He is the technical head. And we have the assistant, myself, the first coach, and then we have the administrative coach. And so point is that the head, he oversees everything. He's made of more, and then the 2 other coaches are made of most.
Yeah. They're going to really see where true power lies on the 23rd. We come in first, which would make sure that we come in first in every game.
In every game over there?
Every race, every game, we're going to come in first.
Let's talk about, some have been talking about Ozil, Cristiano Ronaldo, others want to go for the likes of Mourinho and all of that. I know you have 3 coaches, but which are the star players we should be expecting on the day?
Oh, you're going to see a lot. We don't want to show all our cards now, but on the 23rd when we get on the field, you're gonna see.
But it's good. All right, so we can wait for this. But if you have 3 coaches, maybe we can suggest to them, get a technical director. That'll be very interesting. We'll find out how all that goes. But after the Black Stars qualify for the World Cup, we know it's going to happen. Then you find out how Team Multimedia will definitely win. Israel is going to be the number 9. I'll be playing number 7. Watch out for us. We're definitely great. That'll be all for sports tonight. My name is George Adder Jr. Keep praying for the Black Stars. Israel will join us with some more.
Sports was brought to you in association with
Smile. You've got Higo.
The age-old rivalry among students from various second cycle institutions was reignited over the weekend in Kumasi as the Lava Firm hosted the 9th edition of its annual schools reunion at the forecourt of the Babayara Sports Stadium. Mohammed Nuruddin sent this report.
Hundreds of former students from various senior high schools thronged the forecourt of the Babayara Sports Stadium Saturday to participate in the 9th edition of the annual Lava Firm Schools Reunion. The massive turnout was an affirmation of Lava Firm's pole position in event organization in the Garden City. The former students who started gathering from the early hours of the morning participated in tons of activities through to the night. This included Gary soaking competition, Eba and Shito eating competition, and a dancing competition. After a successful event, organizers are promising a bigger event next year, which will be the 10th edition of the schools reunion.
It wraps up Showbiz.